Sweet. Well, we're go.
This mic has a very distinct smell.
I think it smelled. It has an interesting smell.
Yeah, that's
It's
the
not
word.
right.
Yeah,
You smelt it. Smelled?
Smelled? Yeah. All right, so we're just gonna talk. This is where we just talk about normal things, and then suddenly I break into welcome back to the College Years podcast.
Okay.
Welcome back to the 15th episode of the College Years podcast. My name is Cam. I will be your host, and I am joined by two wonderful guests. Typically, we invite college students on the College Years podcast. This time, we're switching it up a little bit, and we're going to have some future college students on here to talk a little bit about their experience. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to these two to introduce themselves with their name, grade, school, and their potential plan for next year. Whether it's set in stone or not, I want you to talk about your potential plan, because I think that'll set the stage for what we're doing and talking about today. So I'll start with you, Jacob. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Jacob. I'm a senior this year. And I plan to go to Howard University and major in political science.
Go Bison.
That's really all I got. To be honest with you, that's all I got.
Hey, that's a good answer. Sweet.
All right. I'm Carly. I'm a senior at Tays Valley High School, and my plan is to go to college. Don't know what.
Look at that.
Well,
Where?
but college. College is the thing,
It's
right?
great,
Yeah.
yeah.
It could be any place. It could be out of the country. Who knows?
I did get accepted into the University of San Francisco.
That's still in the country. That's still
I
here.
know, but
That's not out of the country.
farther out.
Speaking of the country, out of the country, San Francisco. Right.
Never
Well, that's
mind.
congratulations. That's a big deal. That's important. San Francisco's cool. Have you been there before? Good. Have you been to San Francisco?
I have not.
That's all right.
But I'm not going to San Francisco.
Thank God, because you can't say it. Anyway, well, that's exciting. Just hit my face on the mic. Well, that's good. That's exciting, and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
So, like I mentioned, we typically have current college students on this podcast, hence the namesake of this podcast. However, we really wanted to contrast your perspectives because, as Carly mentioned, she doesn't quite have a plan yet, which is okay. And Jacob has had a plan for a little bit, and we're going to get into that stuff and hopefully provide some perspective for folks that are planning on going to college, may not know what they want to do, or decide they want to take a gap year because they don't know, or whatever it is, just to get that perspective, and also to talk about what it's like to have a dream school and be set in your decision and say, yeah, this is what I'm going for, and everything else sort of falls to the back burner. So without further ado, we're going to start with Carly. I know that again, we don't have a super big plan here, and that's okay. Can you speak a little bit to some of the challenges that you've faced during the past year in terms of deciding what school you want to go to, having, any and all of where you're at in the process and things like that?
Yeah, so a big challenge, I think, for me was just, finding the confidence in myself and being okay with, not really knowing, I think. Because unlike me, my brothers and you, Jacob, know, a lot of what you want to do. And so I'm constantly, surrounded by that. And I just, don't really have that same plan. So I think for me, it was really challenging just not knowing, because the unknown is scary. And so, yeah.
And do you think that challenge extends into school stuff? Is it mostly from your brothers, or is it people at school are starting to do these things as well? To what extent is it home stuff, and to what extent do you think it's just school in general and the idea of being a senior and having that kind of plan?
Yeah, so I think junior year, end of junior year, when everything started to feel more real, we were getting more into the start of planning our senior year and stuff, I was beginning to get nervous and overthink a lot of things. And everyone talks about this idea of finding your purpose and your true passion. And I just am interested in so many different things that I would see people that were going towards or working towards their passions and their dreams and what they wanted to do. And I'm sitting here and I'm okay, well, I just have so many things I want to do, and I don't know what I'm the most excited about. I don't know what is my true purpose or passion. And so I think a lot of outside factors like school and stuff played a role in that for sure.
So, and on the other end, like Jacob, you've kind of known for at least a little bit. What does that look like for you? How long have you said, yeah, Howard's the school, and I'm gonna do this, and kind of let everything else play out? When did that become real for you?
Well, yeah, I feel like a big part. It wasn't like just since day one. Like even last year at this time, I would have no idea. Like I'd be in the same exact position. I feel like what really pushed me was I kind of talked to my aunt, and she knows schools. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I like law, I like civil rights, that kind of stuff. And she said, Howard has a really great law school. I didn't even know it was HBCU, which makes it sound really, really uncultured. Okay, listen, Asheville, Ohio, don't. Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna talk about it. I have questions for that.
I'm excited.
Do you? All right, but yeah, I had no idea. So I did like some research. I'm like, this is really cool. Like this is like I had like a gut feeling. I usually don't get those kind of gut feelings, but as soon as I want to say that was like a month before I actually submitted my application was like November. Like I would say like November 1st, I was just like Howard, and I did everything. Like I don't know if you ever did this, where like you watch videos on like what not to bring to school, what kind of things to do at this school, that kind of like I was basically a student before I applied. So yeah, that probably didn't help all the time, but like it made me motivated to do something, made me really motivated to like I would do my chores. I know I probably should have done.
You should have done them in the beginning.
I probably should have done it anyways.
It's neither here
but
nor
like
there.
I would be motivated because and this is like my thought process. I'll be like, I mean, why would someone even pick someone who came and do their chores? Like that was like an internal thing that pushed me to do things. I don't know. It's really odd. I know. Listen.
Yeah, I still don't.
Yeah.
Thanks. You still don't do chores?
Think that way.
Oh, think that way.
I try to do them.
But no, it just made me motivated to do good. Like it made me motivated to not like do bad because I felt like I need to deserve it. And I did everything I can. Like every single step I took for that next month was in the way of Howard. Like I was like, okay, I need this like recommendation that he's like just for Howard, and then I had other schools obviously for a backup. But like, it definitely just made me very narrow-minded, and I feel like there's a good and bad side of that because I was just everything I did had to do with it, and like I said, made me motivated, but at the same time, it definitely.
My stomach was growling. Sorry to interrupt. I know you were flowing there, but my stomach just growled a lot.
No, you're good. But no, I guess on the bad side of it, it's just like it definitely has made me think of other choices. Like I said, like before that month, I would say what's that? I can't do math. 4 or 5 months ago, something like that.
HU 25, baby.
Something like that. I had no idea whatsoever. But I still have doubts, obviously, just because I mean that's in general. But the thing I don't have doubts about, which I feel like is the biggest thing I can like attest to, is like I know I want to start at Howard. No matter what happens after that, I don't know exactly what major or anything like that, but I know I want to figure that out in such a place like a Howard, especially like an HBCU.
Yeah,
very prestigious school.
Yeah, that's fair. What makes a dream school? Like, I don't even know what makes it. Right, you're like, yeah, this is the whole reason I'm here. That's the angle I'm taking is that I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's a dumb question to ask. I don't know. Because then it would just come back to Jacob. But I guess what is something that you're looking for? Because there's got to be something that you're at least looking at.
Yeah,
right?
Like what makes, like, if you thought, like, the school I want to go to, like, what, like, top things are you looking for, that kind of thing? Like why did you pick that kind of school? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah.
So like for me, it's kind of the environment. So I don't know, what exactly I want to major in. I don't know any of that kind of stuff. I was like even still wondering about like, okay, do I want like a big school? Do I want a small school? So those type of things. But I know that I wanted to be surrounded by a very diverse community. I knew that was important to me coming from a school where we don't have a lot of diversity at all. Like I just knew I really, really wanted that diversity and to meet people unlike me and get to know others. Yeah.
Yeah. And that brings me to my question for you, because you're going to be undergoing a bit of a culture shock. And for context, these two go to school at a place. Yeah, it's out there. And
basically a cornfield.
Yeah, and
basically.
then going to Howard, being in DC, 2 being in an HBCU. What are your expectations in terms of how you're gonna like deal with that and navigate? Because it's gonna be a big shift for you.
I feel like that's the biggest thing, that my biggest concern, I would say. And I feel like I've always had some issues with that, just not like-minded people. Like, you can't go to an HBCU, like being black, can't go to HBCU and think everything's going to disappear. Because, like, a lot of people in that community think very differently. Absolutely. Like, I've already had to deal with that a little bit here and there, just with some people there. But, like I don't think I've been in a room with more than 10 black people in my lifetime. And it's going to be a whole school. So it's definitely nerve-wracking for sure. But I feel like the biggest thing with Howard is I know it's going to be a struggle. I know it's going to be hard, but I want to embrace that struggle, because like that's the biggest thing that everybody goes. It's like it's not ran smoothly. It's not ran perfectly. You're going to trip up. You're going to struggle. You're going to have the finesse in some kind of way. And I feel like that's really why. I feel like it's like that. Beautiful pain. Is that what I'm? Yeah, I think that's what.
Sure.
Yeah,
Beauty and the struggle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Beauty,
But-
pain.
Beauty.
Pain, beauty.
Beautiful pain.
Hey, beauty hurts.
That's it. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think you bring up a good point too, just about how all of the isms don't go away. The way people view things are going to
Multiply.
vary, even within a community that may look on paper very similar, and like that's something you're probably going to come into contact with. Like,
for sure.
even going to a more being in a more diverse space
Yeah.
doesn't, you're still going to have plenty of people that come from communities like Asheville and come from communities that
Yeah.
that feed into schools like Taze Valley, and you're gonna have that. And to your point, like navigating that stuff, and it'll ultimately make you better, I imagine. But something you definitely are gonna encounter a little bit. And you visited UC recently.
I did, yeah.
I was
Tell
also there.
you both visited UC.
Cool.
You were just there,
It was a
like
good trip.
this is a school I don't want to go to. I hate this
Just
school.
for fun.
You can go there if you want, but I'm not.
Because Aiden went too, and he's the one who we just talked about on the last podcast. Like he was there, and it was just like it's kind of funny how someone who's not
about
going to
it.
the school and someone who left the school for certain reasons went.
Yeah.
But no, it was definitely an interesting trip.
Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. Like, I really liked the environment. The city life was really cool. It reminded me of like a smaller version of OSU. And I don't know, I could definitely like picture myself there, like seeing, like being with all my friends and stuff. It kind of helped paint that picture a little more. There's a lot of nice like dorm rooms and stuff. We got to actually see a dorm room. A random guy let us in his room, which is a whole
That sounds.
a whole
That's a whole other
story.
story.
Probably
That's
not
how
okay.
scary movies start.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really cool. It was an awesome experience. When I was there, I wasn't like really looking for anything in particular, just like my overall thoughts, like the campus, and could I like see myself there?
Right.
Which
Have
I
you
don't know.
visited other schools? I haven't even.
Yeah, I went and visited DePaul in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I really liked it, but we didn't get to go into any buildings. So yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
did.
have you visited Howard?
No.
Why'd you whisper that? You're like, if
Yes, I'm ashamed. I can't.
there's nothing wrong
there's
with
nothing
it.
I can do. There's nothing I can do. I want to, absolutely, but like I haven't really been able to,
Right.
which I'm grateful for, because Washington D.C. has been shut down the whole time. So like hopefully that helps with the whole COVID situation. But no, I haven't, and I feel like that's definitely a part that pulls me back a little bit. It's just like not pulls me back from the situation. But it's just like, okay, this is something I have to deal with at that point in time. I've seen a lot of pictures, and I know obviously like virtual tours, all that kind of stuff. I know like that's pictures, but I know it's different when you're on campus. But I guess with the whole idea with Cincinnati and trying to compare that in Howard, like I see people like commit all the time, like schools like, oh, I'm going here. It's like they're all places in Ohio, which that's cool. I just want to like travel. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to see different, but like with Cincinnati, I live in Asheville. I don't go to Columbus a lot. So I don't get that city thing. So I get excited when I see things like I think we were walking down and I saw a Target on a storefront. Just a Target.
He
It
was
was in
like,
the
"Oh
corner,
my
right? It was so
God."
sweet. It's like, Target right
Wow.
there? It doesn't happen.
Target.
But no, just the idea of the city in general
Yeah.
really
Crazy.
helped me. Like confirm my decision because I know like I was like, are they gonna have places like this in DC? It's like, dude, it's like triple this, and I'm like, this makes me just feel happy. I like the walking down and having restaurants and other vendors, that kind of stuff on the street. Cool. Yeah.
Well, and that's gotta. I mean, that's like you said. It's probably a little bit of being hesitant because you haven't been there, and you're like, what if it's not exactly the way I pictured it? And that's that's a challenge. And I guess that leads into my next question, just about like stuff you're worried about going into the fall. I know you said the culture shock. I know you said not, campus not looking the way you want it to, things like that. What are things, I guess not having a specific thing in mind, what is something that you're concerned about going into the fall? Is it am I finding a place? Like what does that look like?
For me, it's like a couple different things. So one, I'm a triplet, so I'm going to be leaving my brothers potentially, which is like really scary because I've never like ever been without them. So that'll be very interesting if we all do go different directions. Another thing is kind of just like not knowing, like, okay, when I'm in college, will I be working towards figuring that out? Will I not be doing that? That's a big reason, like with Columbus State, why I was like kind of apprehensive, like, do I want to go there? Because I just felt that I wouldn't like push myself, to do those extra things.
What role do you think expectation has played, whether it's again from brothers, and the idea behind Columbus State, for example, or things like that a lot of folks frown upon, which I've had many conversations on this podcast even about the value of a community college.
Yeah.
What role has expectation played in this process? Has it slowed stuff down? Has it made you more like what does that look like?
Definitely all of the above. Like, just everything. Like, in the beginning, my dad was definitely like pro Cougar. He really wanted us to
That's
go.
Columbus State. Just to clear things up, like
pro Cougar.
Yeah, just
not like that.
Right. We know he dates younger. Anyway,
Oh.
do you have to cut that?
Hey-o.
You have to cut that. I think we
Please
should
don't.
keep it. Anyway, shout
I
out to
agree.
Ty. Okay.
But sorry. But yeah, like, sorry. What were we
Cut.
asking?
That's a good job.
So like, to that, my dad, wanted us to go to Columbus State because it's cheaper and there's 3 of us going to college at the same time, which I full-heartedly agree with. Like, I think the cheaper option is a great option. But for me too, like when we, during COVID and stuff, when we were isolated from everyone and had to motivate ourselves to do work on our own, I would find myself just getting in my head, not wanting to do anything, not wanting to like work towards anything or try and figure out what I wanted to do or try new things. And I think that was a big reason why I felt like I shouldn't go to Columbus State, because like that school, I'd be home probably and I wouldn't feel that motivation or drive to want to try new things or join clubs, because they really don't have a lot of clubs to offer that I know of. And for me, I just think I'd be isolated, and that, for me personally, wouldn't be like a necessarily positive thing.
Yeah. Well, you brought up something just about like the motivation during a transition time, which I think can go in 2 different ways. Like, a lot of people that I know, their motivation, and myself included, for like smaller things like class, and I say class like it's not important. Class is important.
Yes.
Go to school. But, for things like that are very routine and you can kind of go through the motions on some of those things. Sometimes like my motivation slipped.
Yeah.
And, applying to law schools and things like that. Like in some, right. Yeah. Not shameless plug. No, but, in some ways it pushed me more.
Yeah.
In other ways I was like, I don't want to do any of these things. So
right.
I don't know if that's something you've run into, but there's this weird thing during the transition time between high school, college, and then COVID on top of it, all of it. I mean, I imagine it makes it challenging in some ways and a push in others. Like, can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I like how you just like kind of like said that, because that was just me. Because I just have a lot of times I just have no motivation. And I know how I said, like, I'm very motivated. I was really, really motivated just at the beginning, but like scholarship stuff, all that, like ending school, still doing school in general, it's very hard because you have you have senioritis on top of COVID, all that. And I didn't know this, like, just this disconnect, because I just want to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be in the fall, but at the same time, I don't want to miss this time because I know I'm going to regret missing and, like, looking forward into the future when I have all this time with my friends and just, like, trying to have, like, the best summer I can. It's really hard because it's hard to find a balance. I feel like that's a big issue I have a lot, is finding a balance between, okay, I got school, I got YB stuff, I got work, I got scholarship stuff. It's all different stuff. And I have my chill stuff, or I just will go crazy. So also getting, like, that social interaction, like being with my friends, really does help. Gives me it's like a little mini vacation, I would say. Just trying to get away and not be stressed all the time. But no, it's really highs and really lows when it comes to motivation. I don't feel like there's really any in the middle for me, and that's why I have to try to figure out this balance. I'm either like, I need to do all this right now, or I'm never going to do this.
Right. I need to do all my chores or none.
Or
no,
yeah.
all chores or just none of the chores. That's really, I'm all or none.
You brought up, like, wanting to live in the moment, and I'm on the app. Like, I'm ready to get I have 6 weeks left, and I'm like, it's
definitely hard.
Let's be done. Like, I have a different type of senioritis, and I think most of that is just tied up in how slow the semester's going, and it's virtual. It's not my thing. So I don't feel that way. Like, I don't really care to, like, I'm not excited to, like, walk at graduate, like any of those things. I'm just like kind of over it and ready to move on to the next thing. So it's interesting you say that, because I've gotten mixed things. I've gotten folks that are like, oh yeah, I'm excited to graduate, even though it's a little different and the year's been kind of rough and all of those things. And then a lot of the folks that I talk to that are my age and are doing college stuff, like, they're like, yeah, I'm ready to be done. I've been ready to be done. So that's interesting.
It depends on the day.
You fluctuate between?
Yes,
okay.
absolutely. Like, there's some days I'm like, I don't need high school anymore, especially in my area where I live. Yeah. I say, like, every day, like, I can't wait to get out of Asheville. And, like,
sure.
Yeah, so much. But then at the same time, I'm like, I know this is going to be it. The first time I've ever had friends, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I didn't really have really good friends before.
Yeah.
So that kind of idea of it's a really small window between I have all this time, like, with my friends, and then I won't see them for a while. Right. You know, like, everybody's spreading out, and that's more of what I'm trying to cherish. Not much of the school thing. I really don't too much care about the prom or graduation. It's more of just trying to cherish the moments I have with the people I care about, and that's kind of really what it is. Right. Because I won't have that as much. You know what I'm saying?
Well, in the same breath, we've talked about on this before, like, starting with a clean slate, like being able to just kind of start over. And
changing
again,
your name.
Even with both of you coming from very rural areas, getting to, like, just kind of reset and be in a new space, like, you both can build new connections in a way that are going to look different. So that's exciting. And I'm going to ask this question. You both can field it in whatever order you want. This is for both of you. What would you, because I imagine these answers look vastly different. What would you say is going to be, like, the most helpful for you, for others to provide for you, I should say, as you navigate this, going from now until you move on to whatever campus or you're in whatever space you plan on being in? What is the most helpful thing for others to help you with?
So I think, like, at my home life with my family and stuff, a lot of times the first thing that's talked about is how many scholarships do you have done? What are you working on? What are you working towards that has to do with college? And although that's great, and although I do believe those conversations should be had, I think there is a time and a place, and sometimes it's nice just to not talk about those things. So yeah, that's definitely one thing, because I think it just adds a lot of pressure, but also pressure is a good thing. So it kind of just depends. I think there's just a time and a place for all of it. And then another thing, I don't know, would just probably be there for your friends. If they're struggling, if you can tell that they're worried about their next steps, they're nervous, just, talk to them, ask them questions about what they're doing, what they're passionate about. And for me, like, not knowing, what my passion or purpose is, like, like help me figure that out. Like talk to me about it. You know, like we can all work together, and I think helping to come up with solutions for your friends, family, whoever can be really beneficial.
Yeah, that's a good point, and support is huge. What were you gonna say, Jacob? Sorry.
I was just gonna piggyback off like what she was saying with like I think it's crazy how that is the household that like that you come into is like, hey, how many scholarships like, and like I just want to like go on the flip side of that. Like mine's like the exact opposite. Like my mom knows nothing about college. Like I love you, Mom, but you really don't. I know you don't. You might watch this. I don't know. I'll tell you about it. Anyways, she doesn't understand it. Like I'll say, hey, this is how much this college is. Like, what we think about this? Like, I have no idea. Like, I can say numbers. She has no idea what that means.
Right.
Like, I don't have that push. And I guess I kind of feel like I lack in some ways. But now that I see, like, the other side of it, I can see how it can be, like, repetitive in that kind of sense. But for me, I guess, family-wise, I feel like just more of support just whenever, like, I can. Like, if I need to, like I'll read her, like, an essay or something like that. Hey, like, what do you think about this, like, recommendation? Like, I'm very passionate when it comes to getting things done right. I think that that's a really big thing for mine, and just that kind of situation, like, hey, like I had to have a conversation with like, hey, I know like Howard's like it's expensive, it's college, it's really expensive, and I really don't know how we're gonna do it, but like, can we? And she's like, we will figure out a way. And like that was really reassuring to me. It's just like letting, like, because I really put a lot of trust into my mother, and she's like letting her tell me that we can figure it out anyway. Like that really helps a lot. And I feel like that's just the family side of it. I really do talk about that stuff a lot. I know I can get repetitive. I feel like just like the flip side of it, but just that support. I feel like for my friends, like kind of what she was saying, just support in general. But at the same time, like how you said, like we think about this. We talk about this stuff all the time. Like this is always on my mind. Like I said, I'm always watching these videos, what to bring to college, what not to bring. It's like, and it's like, I feel like I'm already a student there. And it's weird because I have these really like odd perceptions, I feel like, of what college is. Like when I think of college, I'm like, I'm at a coffee shop, I'm opening up the Mac, you know what I'm saying, doing my stuff. It's like,
Classic.
but I want that, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think about that way too much. But I feel like for my friends, what we can do is like on the side, just like live in the moment, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that is a big part. I feel like that's something that works really well with our friend group in general. It's just, hey, we're here, we're chilling out, we're not talking about college, we're not talking about this kind of stuff, because this is our time to like now to do our stuff. So I think that definitely helps, like especially like during the summer, just keep that on another side. Like obviously talk about that, but like have it separate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel
and
like
there
that's
are
definitely gonna help.
times. Yeah, and there are times where we do have like those conversations too. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just important stuff, and like just the idea that all of these people that like I care about a lot just are going to be spread out across. It's like it's definitely a hard concept.
Yeah.
And, like trying to figure out those dates and times where we can talk, because like I feel like my support system, you know what I mean? Like I have things to talk about a lot, and like I feel like that's definitely going to be hard going to a new place and trying to make these connections, because like it took so long just to make these connections in general, like that I have now. So no, I just feel like just living in the moment, cherishing what we have right now is just really, really, really important for me, at least.
Yeah. And are you first generation in your household?
First generation, like as first college student
Yeah.
in the household. Yeah, household, yeah, absolutely. Like my brother, my mom's brother went to OSU, and he's a really smart guy. He lives in like Tennessee, does like stuff for scientists and stuff.
I think it's hilarious that you were like, he's a smart guy. Tennessee. Like,
well, he runs like the
Yeah.
Linux, Linux, that stuff. Okay, anyways.
Yes,
he's really,
Penguins
he's really
in Tennessee.
smart.
All
just
right.
not
He's
in
really
agreement.
smart.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And that counts. I mean, the first generation like definition is just like you or your parents. So yeah, you're still
Yeah.
first gen, and that plays a role in it too. Like both of your parents went to school; they have a better idea, and that could add the
Well,
pressure too, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and it's different for them because they both were already married, and like they didn't have that true college experience, I guess, quote unquote. So like actually, I get a lot of my input from Cheryl, my stepmom, because she had that. Shout out Cheryl, because she had that experience, and so she can relate a lot to what the college life is kind of like, what campus is like, that type of stuff. Because my dad was like kind of more adamant about just doing work, going home, and that being that.
Right. Yeah, and
I didn't think about that kind of part. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, my mom never went to college. She just didn't know what she wanted to do, and like college wasn't like a huge thing. She graduated like 99 or something like that. Well, college was just a huge thing at that time. And my dad, I mean, he started college, he just didn't finish. So it's just like, I thought that definitely is a big idea. It's just like not a not a college household. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I feel
Right.
like that's a big stepping stone in general, but at the same time, like, it's foreign. Like, we're all doing this first time around. Like, I'm like the guinea pig, you know, I'm like the lab rat, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But like, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and I mean, it all has give and take. Like,
Absolutely.
to your point, because they don't know, you're not going to get the same kind of pressure. But you're also doing it for the most part, right? Bear with me. You're doing it on your own, and you've got 3 folks that have varying college experiences.
Yeah.
But with that comes that pressure, which I think is definitely interesting.
Absolutely.
And I had kind of somewhere in between, actually. Like, my grandma went, and my grandma's pretty involved, but my mom never did. And so it was like this weird,
Oh, wow.
you know, it's a weird dynamic. So, I think that's going to play a role too. But one last thing, and it's a staple of the College Years podcast now. This is the 5th episode, so we're gonna keep this consistent. I want both of you to answer it, and I want you to frame it from your own perspective, right? If there is a young person that is experiencing what you're experiencing, right? Speak to your experience when you're thinking about this, and we can field it in whatever order. But what's one thing you'd tell someone who's going through this process right now? So if it's, I have a dream school and I want to go there and I'm set on it, and if that falls through, I mean, we've had that conversation.
Yeah.
It's like the backup plans aren't nearly as exciting
No, they are
as
not.
the first, right? So
Yeah.
think about that. What would you tell someone? And what is something you'd tell someone if they don't have a dream school, they're getting bombarded and stressed out with plans and things like that? What would you tell that person? And you can go in whatever order.
I think for me in general, like how you said with just having the dream school, and like someone's like, I really want to do this. And I guess that's kind of just cliche. It's like, don't think it's too big. Like if I wanted to go to like Harvard or something like that, like I know that's a big step and all that kind of like situation, but like don't think it's too big. Cause like I thought Howard was Harvard for me. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was, if I make it here, I won't be able to do anything. So don't give up on it. On that part, also just like, also give your time to chill out. Cause like you can get burnt out. You really can. Like just thinking about college all the time, it can make you just like not enjoy the pressure, like not enjoy the struggle all the time. So just have a balance. I feel like that would be my biggest thing, just have a balance and just don't give up on it.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to do your chores all the time. Yeah. That's a good
Not all the time. She said every other day. So.
Right. Yeah. And that's a good point. I think lots of people, and whether it's going to a community college or going to a smaller school, or like everybody has that Harvard. Like somebody, you'll at some point, right? You'll be like, oh, this is a cool experience, regardless of where you land. I promise you, it will be like this is a big deal that I'm in this space,
Yeah.
and you may not realize it when you're there, but at some point you'll be like, oh, that was a big deal that we did that, because plenty of folks both don't have the opportunity and never get there. So, yeah, that's a good point. All right, your turn.
So my piece of advice, a lot of people tell me like, you'll figure it out. Like it's gonna be okay. You're gonna find, everything you're looking for and more in whatever school and whatever major you decide to choose and stuff. And although I appreciate and love the support that I get from my peers and family members and stuff, when they tell me that, I had to take a step back and actually believe that, because for a while, I didn't believe that I was, gonna pursue those things, and I just thought I'd never know, and that I wasn't really working towards anything. But when I take a step back, it actually is a really big opportunity, and I think people in my position just have to realize that, because I'm just passionate about so many different things, and I think just because I don't have, one certain passion or one certain purpose in life, that's actually okay, and that I'm gonna figure it out. And even if I don't find that one thing, I can, change as I grow older. I can, try different things as I grow older. No one said you had to choose one like career, one pathway, So just realize that, because for a long time, I just struggled like with that whole concept, and I don't know why, because I think it's just a great opportunity to have. So.
Well, and to your point, most people change some sort of profession in some way, unless you're
Never
Kevin
gonna
or your or
You say you
Cheryl,
never
for
change?
that matter.
So
They just
many
don't
people.
change?
Right, there are a lot of people who don't change their
Yeah.
career, and lots more who do. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a good point. Any other closing thoughts before we wrap things up?
HU, you know.
Yeah, I was about to say I didn't go there, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew there was
I
something.
feel like I know this is. I don't. You can cut this if you want, but like this is more of a this is more of a
You're
personal.
setting this up really
Here we
well.
go.
This is more of a personal thing for me, and I feel like I haven't really thought about it too much. I can't even tell my mom about it because she doesn't understand. But
Oh.
I don't have friends. Let me keep going. I don't have friends of
This is a
the
reoccurring
same
theme.
the same background as me, and I feel like that's definitely
Yeah.
a biggest thing. Obviously, being around those people, but like having even like one black friend. You know what I'm saying? Like other than you, I would say, but like around like my age, that kind of thing. Like having that every day. I feel like that's definitely the biggest thing I'm like curious about. And I know that doesn't really attest to like everybody, but like that's just more of my personal kind of thing. It's just like it's just different. It's just a different lifestyle, a different way of going about life in general. But no, I'm definitely excited about that for sure. That's just kind of like a little point I wanted to make. It's just like I'm nervous, but anxious.
Right. Nervous and anxious.
Nervous and anxious. That's the same.
I mean,
is that
but no, I mean they're not the
Yeah.
same thing. I was just
Trying to go from the whole
I thought you were gonna say.
vocabulary.
I thought you were gonna say nervous and excited. Was
nervous
what I was
and
expecting.
nervous and excited. Same
Well,
thing.
but yeah, you're gonna have a really cool opportunity to have as many friends that look like you as you can at
Look at
one
them all.
time.
Look at them
Right?
all.
Right. And so you like that's cool, and that's gonna come with its challenges, but that's dope. So
Yeah, absolutely.
exciting. Any other words of wisdom from either of you two?
I've used my whole
No.
vocabulary. So.
Sweet. Well, HU. Yeah. Cool.
Not yet. We're getting there.
Yeah, at some point. Go Bison.
Go Bison.
Sweet. Well, that has been the fifth year. The
fifth year
for me. It has. Yeah,
It's been your fifth year. Yeah.
it is my fifth year. So the fifth episode of the College Years podcast. Go check us out on Instagram, YouTube. The social media places. On Instagram at
MySpace.
Y2Y1982. That is the letter Y, the number 2, the letter Y 1982. Go check us out on YouTube, which is probably where you're watching this. Subscribe, like that stuff. Comment up. If you have questions, thoughts, topics you want to cover, we'll get to them. For Carly and Jacob, I'm Cam. We'll talk to you when we talk to you.